So on this day, exactly 1 year ago, one of my favorite games of all time released to, sadly, not much praise. Not many people knew about it, and so I resorted to repeatedly telling everyone about it in the hopes that it would get the praise and attention it deserved. Back when I first played it, it was my favorite game of all time, but since then it's fallen down the rankings a bit. It may not be the best ever, but it's still up there with the greatest games of all time, at least in my opinion. So I thought it fitting to redo that review on the 1 year anniversary of this very special game. So fire up your afterburners and grab your talking mechanic cat as I re-review Jet Lancer! On the gameplay side, Jet Lancer functions similarly to a bullet hell shoot-'em-up, with a few twists. The Lance can fire a main gun with low damage but a consistent fire rate, a special weapon like homing missiles, a laser railgun or armor-piercing rockets, and a charged weapon like a swarm of missiles, floating drones, or a huge massive laser beam of death. You also have an afterburner for increased speed and an invincible barrel roll that you can use to dodge attacks, and even dodge directly through enemies with. Instead of side-scrolling stages, every level is an open area where you have to complete a specific objective like killing all the enemies, hacking a set number of targets, keeping the number of enemies below a certain level for a specific amount of time, and a few other things. Every 5 or so missions you'll fight a unique boss, all of which are great, aside from a few that I feel could have been fleshed out a bit more. Stern Rebuke doesn't have nearly enough attacks and is pretty static, and the Empress has way too much health to feel fun to fight. Every few missions, you'll also unlock an upgrade, either a new special or charge weapon, or an augment to the Lance's abilities, like automatically rolling while using your afterburner, altering how your charge weapons work, or changing how your main gun functions. But not all upgrades can be unlocked on your initial playthrough, some are only unlocked in New Game Plus. After beating the game, you can start the entire thing over in New Game Plus, but it's not just a second playthrough. New Game Plus acts more like a hard mode with remixed stages, harder bosses, and a tiny bit of new content for those who make it to the very end. Jet Lancer's story is pretty minimal for the most part. You play as Ash Le Guin, the typical somewhat edgy ace pilot flight school dropout as you fight against the Sky Pirates, a somewhat organized group of criminals and scavengers, and their massive mechanical weapons. Sure, it's kinda cliche and predictable, but the writing is fun and enjoyable, and the story does still have a couple of twists you might not see coming. The music is nothing short of incredible. An amazing mix of chiptune and guitar, Jet Lancer's soundtrack manages to fit in perfectly in each and every scenario. It's composed in layers, meaning songs can remove some layers to be even more complex, like the world map theme becoming fully chiptune when you enter the equipment menu. The only song I don't like would be the boss theme for the second to last boss, the Black Knight. I won't play it here or show the boss for obvious spoiler reasons, but it's a huge tonal shift from every other song in the game, and I prefer the old prototype version of the theme that was posted a while back on Twitter, which I'll leave a link to below. But one slightly less good song doesn't make the soundtrack as a whole bad, and it's still one of my favorite game soundtracks ever made. Jet Lancer's visuals are some of the best pixel art I've seen to date. Every enemy type is unique and easily distinguishable, the bosses have tons of detail, character designs are slick and expressive, and the fully 3D world map looks really nice. So yes, Jet Lancer is an incredible indie game that you should absolutely check out. Just go play it, I promise it's good. Give the developers your money so they can keep making games. Please, they deserve it. there we go. This big important project is all finished. I don't have any really important reviews to make until July, so tomorrow I can just relax and